Okay, I'm gonna promise to play it this time. I lost the die roll. I'm gonna keep this hand. I don't have double white for this verdict yet, but I'm pretty sure far and away just like screws with the what's it called? The moving around my cards in my hand thing, because every time I try to do it with far and away, it just screws up. Precinct Captain on 2? That's pretty annoying. I don't want him to play Voice of Resurgence on 2, or yeah, I guess I can't actually stop it, so I'll probably just bounce his Captain. Since I can't counter Smiter. Though far and away is it gets pretty good the longer the game goes on. Because eventually you can just bounce a token, sack a guy. This is probably Smiter. If it's Centaur Healer, I get to counter it, but I knew going in that I wouldn't be able to counter Smiter. I'm just going to slam Detention Sphere on it. Hope to draw a verdict, or not a verdict, a white source. I already have the hard part. Advent of the oh, okay. I thought he was going to Advent of turn, but I guess that wouldn't be very good since I can kill it. I'm just going to take a bunch of damage from this Precinct Captain. I want to try and cycle this as where he's trying. He does nothing with his turn. He really doesn't need to do anything. He's this Precinct Captain I'm having trouble dealing with. Something at least. Jace would also be pretty good here since his tokens wouldn't be able to do anything. Just take 5, go to 6. Okay. I was worried about stolen notification because I couldn't actually wait long enough to... Okay, that's fine. Because if you had stolen notification, I wouldn't be able to deal with it. Wayfaring Temple? That's pretty adventurous. That card's really slow getting going. And it's pretty small. I can basically ignore it. I'm gonna charm it though, to buy some time. Still have Psychic Strike and Syncopate open. Thankfully, I haven't tried to counter a Smiter yet. So he draws Wayfaring Temple, and he has one card in hand I don't know about. Well, hopefully it's not Invocation. Or Ready and Willing is another card. Okay, drew a Verdict, can Verdict and have enough open for Psychic Strike. But he just immediately passed priority, so he's F6'd. I could play Jace, but I'm going to leave open Syncopate / Psychic Strike. Psychically strike that. Then I'm going to start plussing Jace until he forces me to draw cards with it. I can counter Advent of the Worm unless he pays an extra 4 mana for it, which he can do now, but he has one card in hand. It doesn't look to be Advent of the Worm. Voice of Resurgence is the #1 card that kills me in this matchup. Precinct Captain was annoying, but Jace does deal with it. Advent Worm is an absolute beating, though. Gotta use Jace. Almost just went through my turn without using Jace because I was talking about Advent Worm. Because I've been testing for the San Diego Pro Tour. A couple friends are going to that. I don't think this is the deck they're going to play, the Esper deck, which is why I'm comfortable playing it. But the Sin Collector is actually very good in this matchup due to their Advent of the Worm, Call the Conclave, Selesnya Charm. What I had been doing is boarding out 3, and I boarded out the Syncopates and something else. I can't remember what it is. Oh, in the other version I had a bunch of Devour Fleshes, but I don't have that here. Dramatic Rescue is also pretty good against them. Against straight green white, he's a bunch of maybe Sin Collector's not that good because it'll really only get Advent of the Worm. So I definitely went Detention Sphere, and Blood Baron's pretty good against them just because a lot of the high impact threats, like their own Tristani, Smiter, things like that. The only card that actually stops Blood Baron is Worm Token. I think I'm going to put in Dramatic Rescue and another Blood Baron. Maybe I can just play Psychic Strike, and because they're like fairly slow if they don't get a Precinct Captain. I think maybe Dramatic Rescue Psychic Strike's good enough. With on the draw, I'd have Detention Sphere or Zori's Charm, Far and Away, and Jace to deal with his nonsense. They have a hard time beating Angel Serenity. That's why the green-white deck fell off the map in just single set Ravnica constructed. Because you just couldn't beat Angel Loops, and Angel Loops were actually the entire format back then. Nowadays, thankfully a little different. If he does show me a bunch of spells, I will board in Sin Collectors, but since he has like Wayfaring Temple and stuff like that, I don't think he has that many spells for me. I think I'll just submit here. This hand's a little loose, but with Far and Away, and maybe it's just Dragon Maze cards that are doing this, because I can't even move this Blood Baron either. Okay, whatever. I lost completely losing my train of thought, because I'm having hand size issues. Okay. I'm just gonna Dramatic Rescue this guy now, because he's not gonna... He could theoretically enchant it with Infliging Courage, but since that seems pretty unlikely, and I don't want him to give it hexproof, I'm just gonna bounce it. I don't know how I'd give it hexproof, but I don't want to be screwed by something because I don't know all the cards in the format yet. Oh, that didn't work the way I wanted it to. I should have just cast away. I was thinking I could hold it for a turn and get him when he went to play an Advent of the Worm. I could make him bounce his token and then get his Precinct Captain. But now if he had like a Selesnya Charm there, he could have made a Knight token. What the heck is this? Promo Call of Conclave? I've never seen this card before. But since I let him swing with Precinct Captain, if he had a Selesnya Charm there, he could have cast a Selesnya Charm as he was attacking, sack the Knight token, and get in with Precinct Captain, which completely turns off my Far and Away. But as for now, I'll just leave open this Render Silent and get ready to Blood Baron him. That's why I was going to away on main phase. That is definitely an auto counter. It's a very hard card to beat, and him casting it so early in his turn just makes him stop playing spells completely, which is also pretty nice. I don't think he has a way to get rid of this Blood Baron. He can't get it with Selesnya Charm, so he basically has to... I have to block his Centaur, and then he has to Selesnya Charm his own Centaur healer. Or not Centaur healer, just a Centaur. But I'm not going to block since... What is this? Scion Vitugazi. That's unforeseen. So he can double lock my Blood Baron with a Centaurs. So I'll just pass turn. He has to attack with this, basically. He could make an 8/8, but I can block that for free. And try to draw some cards with my Revelation. And drawing a Jace would be pretty good. Drawing Wrath is fine, but Wrath's not going to do that much here. Ooh, Angel Serenity is pretty good. That lets me get rid of his tokens since we can't Grove unless he leaves his bird token untapped. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, I'm going to run out this Angel. See what he does. If he makes a token in response, I'll get the token and both Centaurs. That leaves him with all white creatures in play. He could make a token in response to my targeting this, which is fine. I think I'm just going to get his Scion. He can have his 8/8 token. I'm going to start attacking him with this. Not afraid of his token. Yes. He killed this with Celestia Charm. I don't want to take 8, so I'll leave the Blood Baron back. Next turn I'm going to attack with Blood Baron. If he plays Advent of the Worm to block it, I'll Psychic Strike it, and hopefully play my own Blood Baron to block his Elemental. Another Scion. It's getting increasingly annoying. I'm trying to figure out what to do here. If I attack with Scion, he blocks with Bird Token, he blocks with Bird Token next turn. But I don't take any damage, so I think that's what I'll do. Cast a Blood Baron and then play this untapped so I can cast Psychic Strike if need be. Double Blood Baron. If I draw a Detention Sphere, I get to get rid of his elementals. They just took 5 from the birds. That's kind of strange. I guess he's just going to make another token and try to race me by getting more tokens than I can get out Blood Barons. But I can always just counteract that by attacking him down through the Angel Serenity, and then this is basically unblockable right now. Yeah, I think he's going to make another token, try to get me down. Block with Bird. Nope, no blocks. That's... That puts him dead to my Blood Barons. So he has to have a green creature. So I'll play this tapped. And I'll just try to live next turn. The token doesn't matter that much. Right, because I can block, gain 8. Because he's have lifelink. Voice of Resurgence, not important enough. It also makes multicolored creature. Yeah, green and white. So the only thing that stops me at this point is Advent of the Worm, which I'll need to leave open to counterspell for, so I'm not going to play Sphinx's Revelation unless he taps out. Because he's dead on board right here. Unless he has Druid's Deliverance, which is pretty ballsy on his part. That'd be pretty good, actually. But, of course, I could always counter that. Twice over. I assume he has the Advent here, otherwise he would have just conceded by now. Why didn't he block... Well, that was so weird. Why didn't he block this? Or this? Okay, well, that's fine. This is a matchup I'm very comfortable with. I've played this a ton. The only threatening card is Voice of Resurgence. I hadn't seen Scion yet. It's sort of a mid-range threat that can populate things, but populating is not that great because at 2 birds. It's like a little Cloud Goat Ranger. 4/4 is really small in this format, especially with Blood Baron. I think going to be one of the best cards in the format. So your white creatures have to be really good, like Angel of Serenity level, in order to warrant playing them. Especially at such a high mana cost that they have to compete directly with Blood Baron. That's why Voice of Resurgence is so good. You can play it early and complement it with other high power creatures like Loxodon Smiter. Like if you go turn 2 Voice, turn 2 Smiter, the control player has to deal with those cards because they'll just die. That's 6 damage a turn. But once they Wrath, the token this makes actually grows bigger with the number of creatures in play. So when you Wrath the first time, you're left with a 1/1 elemental. Then when you play another creature and attack with that now 2/2 elemental, it just keeps getting bigger over time. And if they play a second voice, in addition to the token they already have, like you have to devote so many resources into killing that Voice of Resurgent tokens in the second one that they can grind you out that way, just by out damaging you through your various control cards. But since this guy took a more populate stance and I countered the first Voice of Resurgence, he just wasn't aggressive. His goal in this game was to basically out attrition all the attacking decks. But I'm not an attacking deck, I'm a control deck. So I could just wait and wait and wait. And I was prepared to attack a bunch of turns through his bird tokens, but he just decided not to block. I think he forgot to set pro white, but then I'm not sure. It seems like something I would do. It's just like I can't attack because these guys can block for free, but not realize that I would die to them. So yeah, that's all I've got to say about the green-white deck. It's fine. It's much better if you're trying to be aggressive. You can't just like Grove the Guardian. I think this card's not very good. Because it leads to a lot of games where you have a bunch of giant creatures in play, but they either just out attrition you or you're going to win anyway based on just populate presence. But that's enough. 2-1 currently. Let's go to round 4.